Hello, hello, hello. Look, welcome to Table Talk. I'm so excited to be here today with my friend LaWanna Wilson. You know, in Table Talk, we talk about business strategy, talk about small business, entrepreneurship, family, and faith. And we also have people on that have finished projects. And so LaWanna has finished her book.
Yes.
And so we're going to be talking about her book. Yes,
it is
done. LaWanna, welcome to Table Talk.
Thank you, Yolanda. Thanks for having me.
I want you to just talk a little bit about who you are and why you decided to write this book. I've known you've been working on it for a while. And so tell the people a little bit about yourself and then tell me why you decided to do this book.
All right. Well, I am native of Michigan. I moved here 10 years ago. During that whole process of finding out where I was headed and where I was moving to, just really seeking the Lord, asking him, what was next for me, this whole book thing came up. Now, the backstory is I've been saying I'm going to write a book since 3rd grade.
Wow.
And I would tell my mom,
wow,
Mom, I'm going to write books. I just had a love for words as a child. I was a bookworm.
Wow.
Stacks of books, just always reading something.
I'm going to stop you right there because what did you study in college? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, my background is speech and dramatic arts.
Okay.
And minor in broadcast.
Ah.
So I'm from a family of communicators, educators. So that whole talking and conveying information, that whole thing is it runs really strong in our family. So that's my background, and did radio for several years.
That's what we're gonna stop right there. Radio. I had no idea. What made you want to do radio, and how long did you do that?
Radio was so much fun. It combined some of my favorite things: music, love music. Been singing since I was 7. And then just being able to talk to a lot of people all at once.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of people all at once. And it's just there's a very creative side to radio that you probably don't get to see because, behind the scenes, but you create your own show, you really create your own flow and just the whole atmosphere of the show, and you bring in your listeners, and you have your special listeners that listen all the time to you. It's a really fun environment.
Wow.
So, a lot of fun.
I love that you've done that. So tell me, what made you decide to write this book? You talked about, you knew when you were a child that you were going to be a writer and an author. But what made you do this book? That was your first one.
This book really came at a time where, as I mentioned, I was preparing to leave home, Michigan. Wasn't sure really at the time where, so I began to pray about it. But in the meantime, I began to ask God questions like, what do I bring to the table, Lord? What do I have to offer? What are my strengths? What's going to be my niche? What's going to be my legacy? So those are the kind of things that I constantly, during that little season, was sharing, back and forth with God, just talking back and forth, and just that pondering it in your heart and trying to get those answers. I was back home at my parents' house, which, we always say we'll never do what we need. So sometimes
God sends us back.
He sends us home sometimes.
Yes.
So there I was back home, and just like, Lord, these circumstances, job closed down, downsized, all kinds of things. And it was just, I couldn't get my bearings. And so out of that, I began to ask him, well, what do I have to offer? Literally, he gave me the acronym, as you can see, the little dots in the middle. It's actually an acronym. And he gave me Valuable Individual Requiring God's Influence Now. That was the title of the book. And I began to flesh that out as far as what that meant to me at that stage in my life, and how was that going to help someone else? How was that going to help a young person who maybe wants to be an author, who wants to be in performing arts, or whatever the case may be? And how could I convey a message in this book that would inspire them, encourage them to keep seeking God, encourage them to continue to have faith in him and trust him for those things. So that's really what it came out of. It's a heart to see this generation, have some better guidance. It became a situation where I felt like we weren't talking to them much anymore. We weren't really sharing these nuggets of wisdom.
Exactly.
Or really, I think sometimes parents just get like, afraid of their children, but I think there is a fear element where they feel like they're losing their child after they start,
I've heard that
getting
a lot.
older.
Yes.
And so they feel like I don't have anything to talk to them about, or I don't even know how to talk to them about these things. And so the talk never happens. And then the children are just pretty much making it up on their as they go.
And listen to their friends.
Listen to friends, whatever pop culture says, whatever social media says. And thus the society that we have now of young people who are really struggling for identity and worth. And those are the kind of things that I convey in the book.
So when you were working on the book, tell me what chapter kind of stood out the most, or maybe not stood out, the chapter that took you the longest to write.
The longest to write. You know, the chapter that took me the longest to write, here's what's funny about this book. I had about half of this book written initially in 2003 when the Lord gave me the concept. And then I moved. So that was 2003. So 3 years later, I moved to Nashville in 2006. And then my plan was to move somewhere where there were publishing houses so I could start shopping the book and get it published. Little did I know I hadn't lived all of the book. And so I began to get involved in life, and God began to take my life in a certain direction. And I would live portions of the book, and then I would write it. I would live it, and then I would write it. And I found out, oh my gosh, I'm not done with the book. The book's not done.
Yeah.
So the chapter that took me the longest to write is probably the one, it may even be the shortest. I don't even know. I have to look. But it's the chapter on distractions. Because I felt like during that season, once I moved here to Nashville, it seemed like anything that you could mention that could come up to block me from sitting down with this manuscript and writing it. It just kept cropping up, just something. If it wasn't finance, if it wasn't health, if it wasn't something going on back home and had me distracted, I was always being pulled, and I just couldn't get that time to just sit. And finally, it just hit. I'm distracted. I need to write a chapter about distractions, because this is probably the hardest part of blocking out all the noise and focusing on what God has told you to do and getting it done. So that's probably the hardest and longest chapter, distractions, because I was literally in the middle of that one.
And you know, people have missed their purpose and their destiny because of distractions. And sometimes things come in cute packages that are distractions, and they're good things that people will look at it and wouldn't think they're a distraction. So you have to really be careful. It's for you.
Absolutely.
That it may not be a distraction for someone else. So being aware of what are those distractions that will keep you from reaching your destination that God has for you. And you know, when you look at this book, and most people that are going to look at this book and they see the word virgin, they're going to have something in their head that means to them. And so I'm so glad you talked about the acronyms, even though this can minister or speak to people that are celibate, that are still virgins, that are, but it's more to it.
So much more to it.
And so I want people to understand when they see that, not to just have one thing in their head about what this book is about. Because as LaWanna was talking, she finished this book and she lived her life. She was living life, and God would drop nuggets that she needed to put in here that somebody else can use. So LaWanna, tell me, who is this book for?
I would say my audience is Generation Y and Z. So that would be this generation, and I'm going to say cutoff age is like 11, 12. If you have had the talk with your young person about where babies come from and how babies are made, they can handle this book. Yeah. I'm very discreet in the way that I approach certain topics, but I do have to say an 11-year-old can benefit from this, as well as a 32-year-old can benefit from this. It's basic core things that I think every young person needs to have in their life, or has started to have the conversation about. Who am I? What's my worth? What is my value? Where am I headed? What's my purpose? How do I get there? Who are my friends? Who are my influences? Who am I listening to? That sort of thing. And so those are the kind of things that I share in the book. And I think that has a pretty broad I've had people my age.
Yes.
I'm like, I need to get the book. And
I have to order mine.
I
I have to order one because I do a lot of work with young professionals. And also, just for me personally, just when you get to certain parts in your life and your journey, God is dealing with you with different things. I'm single now. I was married, now I'm single. And so God is dealing with me in different areas of my life. And I know just what she has in this book is going to help me as well as a parent, talking to their young people. So, LaWanna, I know you've been doing some talking. I know I've seen some of your videos where you're giving people nuggets about the book. What are you hearing from young men about the book?
That's good.
You know, a lot of times we do stuff like this. We have, you know, purity classes for girls. We give them a purity ring, but we're leaving our boys out. I have a son. And I know how important it is for both, not just the girl to understand it. So what are you hearing from young men?
Well, that's a good question. I did an episode. I have a little Sunday video that I do every Sunday. I call them Sundates, where I'm giving you updates about how the book is doing as well as some time with you. So it's like a little date. So that's my little play on words, Sunday.
I love that.
But I have a segment that I did with one of my good friends, a brother of mine, goes to my church, who is living a celibate life. And
now say that again. They don't realize that men are too, and men are.
There are men.
And you can.
Yes. You can. You can honor God, men. You can honor God in your body. Your body does not have to run you and master over you.
Exactly.
You can live a life that's honorable to Him and pleasing to God in your body. The book V.I.R.G.I.N, it hits three areas: pure in person, pure in purpose, pure in pursuit. Those are the three things that it really hits. That's really across the board. Whenever you hear me talk, I'm going to be hitting on one of those three areas. That's my mission in life. And so I had a chance to sit down with my friend Steve. You'll have to, I think it's like 3 episodes back if you want to look at that. And
is that on your YouTube channel?
It is on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And I think that's all on my Facebook page right now. Okay. Eventually we'll have the YouTube channel. Yes. But on my Facebook page, if you search by LaWanna R. Wilson on Facebook, you'll find it. It'll pop up. Take a look at that episode. 4 young men. He shared with me a great testimony about how he decided in college that this was going to be his life. He wanted to please God in this way. He didn't want to be a part of the status quo and just, all caught up in the whole guy thing, chase all the girls you want to chase and live your life and whatever. And he really felt like his relationship with Christ was the preeminent relationship. And that set the tone for all other relationships for him. And so, but Steve is like 28 now, I think. Okay. And still living a celibate life, still living abstinent. He says that that's a daily choice. It's not something that you just say one day, think I'm going to try this, and the next day, oh, that didn't work. Every day, he purposely chooses. Yes. This is how I'm living my life. And then you rely on the Lord to help you do it.
And I saw a little piece of that him. And one of the things that stood out to me with him as well is that he said he started bringing community around him. Yes. And a lot of times we're isolating ourselves and we don't realize other people are living like us. We think we're the only ones and we're having pity parties, but you can get a community around you that believes the way you believe, and it's your accountability people that can encourage you. Y'all can pray together because it is a daily choice. It's a daily decision to live that life.
It really is. And if you don't have people that are encouraging you, that are walking that with you, it definitely can get to be difficult, discouraging even. I just happen to have a great community. I have everything from family on up who really support me in my abstinence. And so it's so normal to me now until I don't really think about it. It's not something that, I kind of sit around the house wondering about. Wonder how long.
You do like, no, it's not a daily conversation.
It's really not a daily conversation. I don't think about it. It's so normal, everyday life for me until it's not on my mind, to be honest with you. But it's crucial to have people in your life that are supporting your lifestyle, who are there when you need them most, when things are tough. Because things are tough. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's just worth it.
And so this book is for girls and boys,
Yes.
young men and young women. It's not just for women, and men are living this life out, but it does take you being in community and having people around you supporting you. And one of the things that I love that I know you're going to be doing more of, LaWanna, is really talk to me about how churches and small groups can use this book, and how it can be used in a small group setting.
It's a really good tool for that. I actually give you questions at the end of each chapter. Whether you're doing this on your own or in a group, it allows you to process the material. I don't want you just reading over it and, oh, that was a good little thing she said right there. No, I want you at the end to start working this through and start getting it in your heart. And so that's why I provide questions at the end. It will work perfect in a small group session. I have one coming up in June, as a matter of fact. My running group, there's some of the ladies in my group who have ordered the book, and they're going to do we're going to do a whole several week series on it. It's several chapters, so we're just going to take a chapter a week, and we're going to go through it. And then we're going to answer some of the questions and just get the dialogue going about the various topics in the book. It's great for that. If you have a youth group, if you're on campus, your college campus, and you have a small group there, that's an awesome opportunity to use the book there. So it's a really a good tool for study, for small group, the conference material even. It's really good for that. It's set up probably for that. I would say the best.
Oh, great. And you said ages?
I would say 11 and up. So that's that 11 to like 30, I would say 32-ish cutoff, I think is right about that.
Good. One of the things that I also realize about the book is that it's not just about being abstinent or being averse. It's about walking in your purpose. And so as you go through, can you say those acronyms again for me?
Pure in person, pure in purpose, and pure in pursuit.
And then the virgin.
And virgin is valuable, individual, requiring God's influence now.
Requiring God's influence now. In order to walk in your purpose and to walk out your destiny and to get to your divine destination, you have to have God walking with you and leading you. And so as you're reading this book, it's going to deal with several areas of your life, not just you being abstinent, but how are you walking in your purpose? Are you walking out all that God has for you? And LaWanna, one of the things I know is that there may be somebody watching that have been struggling with not just this, but just struggling in life, understanding their purpose. Can you encourage some that may be watching on kind of maybe a time when you felt that and what you did to kind of walk through that?
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, just because I do walk this out in real life doesn't mean it makes it easy. But I think what I really appreciate about my parents the most, amongst the many things, is they've been awesome, is that they gave me a very strong sense of self-worth. That's something I rely on. That's kind of the core me. When things get crazy and I can't quite figure out, how things are going to work out, or how much longer am I going to be single, Lord? You hit those spots. You've been there, or so I wish when this money start working out. I wish when I wish, and it can get just flat out discouraging. One thing I do is I encourage myself in Scripture. I know that if anything really ever just folds on me and I just need support, I know I have that. I have a family community that's my blood family I can run to. But then here in Nashville, I'm on my own. And so I've really built a community of friends, sisters, and brothers. If anything goes down, I can call these people. I don't have to be afraid, ashamed, embarrassed. They know me. I'm accountable to them. They're accountable to me. They're in my life. They know me well enough to know the signs when LaWanna's getting a little shaky. They, hey, sis, I get a text. How you doing? What's going on? So I really have to say Scripture and community are the two things that you have to have. It is crucial. And the third thing, I'll just throw this in there. I wasn't even thinking about this, but the third thing we just finished talking about being who you're influenced by. I said a little bit last week in my last Sunday video about your influences and how the law enforcement uses the term under the influence when they arrest you for either being drunk or under the influence of some kind of drug or narcotic or something like that. And when you're in that state of mind, you can be a harm to yourself. You can be a harm to other people. And so a serious matter. They have to arrest you. They have to get you to a place where they can get you contained and get you back into your right mind. Okay, so think of that on the side of how God is our influence. When you're under his influence, your behavior changes as well. You do things differently. You see things differently. You speak differently. And so being under his influence is how we're going to make it to, whatever our calling, our destination is in life, what we're trying to do. And it's also going to keep you afloat when things get rough, when storms come, because they're coming.
Yes.
That's what really keeps you afloat, is being under God's influence, being under his leadership and his guidance. And so I would just have to encourage you. You gotta know who you are, gotta know your own worth. You gotta surround yourself with people who are going to support, encourage, and keep you strong when you're not strong. Yes. And then you need to put yourself under the right influences. And in this case, God is the right influence. Yes. He knows where you're going. He sees miles ahead. Exactly. So he can get you there in one piece.
Great. Did you hear that? Yes. Get you some scripture and some word. Get surrounded by people that you can be accountable to. Now, I'm not talking about off accountability. We've had some off accountability. And every time I say that to people, they were like, I don't want people. No, I'm saying family that's around you, that care about where you're going. Because we're better together. We say that. We say that word. We say that all the time. We're better together, but we truly are better together, because by yourself, we're a mess. And so being able to get around people that can hold you accountable, that can be a support, that can pray with you, and then getting in the word and reading what the word says about who you are. So crucial. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. God has awesome things for you, and we have to be reminded. I remind myself that a lot of times I'm posting on Facebook, encouraging other people, and that's for me too. I take it in first, and then I give it back out, because we all need that to make it to walk in all that God has for us. And so, LaWanna, I know it took you a while to finish the book, and I have books out, and I'm working on 2 books, and sometimes you can get a writer's block. Or just block, period. It ain't even writer's block. It's just like block.
I don't want to do it.
And tell me the time that you had, you were struggling with really getting the book done. And what did you do to kind of push through that?
I had some of our friends laughing about this a couple of weeks ago. We did talk about this. And I there were points in this whole journey with the book that I literally I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to see this manuscript. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want all of this running through my head to stop. It seemed like I was just being haunted by the pages. It's just like, no more, Lord. and it takes God to really get you in perspective sometimes when it comes to that. And I have to admit, pushing through it, there were some long little stretches there, and I really got concerned. Am I really going to finish? Because it seemed like things would just go dry for like months. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've talked about this book. I've told people about this book, and now I can't even write it. In those moments, though, what I learned to do, this wasn't right away. This was, after going through it and bumping my head several times, what I learned was just, you know what, LaWanna? Take your break. Take your break. It's okay. God knows. Get yourself together, get your head together, take a little retreat. I've done that. I'll just steal away. I got 2 or 3 people I call. LaWanna will be out, and this is where I will be.
Exactly.
And no one else knows but those 2 or 3 people, just for accountability, so that I'm not getting calls and people are, I just need some quiet time. Right. I just need some quiet time, and I just need to steal away, me and Jesus, and talk this thing through. I did that probably, oh gosh, a year and a half or 2 before I finished this. I literally shut things down. It was just too much going on around me, and I was just dry. And my sister said, I was on the phone with her one night. She said, you sound a little edgy. I think you need some time away. And she doesn't say stuff like that. But when she does, it's like she's right. So packed my little bag, found me a little spot. I did that. I think I did this 2 nights away or 2 days. And literally, me and Jesus. That's all. Nature, me and Jesus. That's really all. I didn't talk to anyone. Didn't use my phone. And by the time I left there, you guys, God had spoken so clear to me about this book and just my life in general, and just all the cobwebs in my head had been cleared out, and I was able to just press into the last like run and get that done. And so, everybody's a little different. But I knew for me I just needed to be recharged. I'm in demand a lot. I like, I'm kind of that person. I like to be in everything and busy. So that's good. But you have to know your limits, and you have to know when it's time to pull back and get recharged from within, so you can accomplish what you have to do. So that for me probably was one of the little tricks that I had to play to get this done. I just had to get away, steal away.
And I think that's true for any big projects we're working on. Media and just everything that's going on, it's always something to do.
Always.
And I think sometimes we can miss part of what God wants to do with us because we're so busy that we don't take that downtime to even hear what He's even saying, because we got so much coming in. And we're blocking out what He wants to communicate with us. And so taking that time is so critical. I've had to do that a couple of times on big projects I'm working on. If I'm writing, I'll be gone, and my family like, where are you? I'm like, I'm just working. I'm good. I'm good. Just need to get some things done. And sometimes you just need to get away from all the social media and just people for a little bit. And so God can speak to you, and you can release to the people. Because when we write, it's really not for us. It's really for you to share. And so God was just preparing you to get this ready to share. So tell me what's next for you with the book.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm gearing up for the summer. I'm wanting to really get into more speaking, whether that's with conferences, small groups, a variety of events of that nature. So, and I am available for that. So if anybody has anything like that coming up, Vacation Bible School, summer camps, I am available for that sort of environment. That just, for me, is probably what inspires me the most, is being around those young people. We had Next Generation Sunday last Sunday.
Yes.
Those young people, the energy in that place, and just their worship and their serving. They were serving in every capacity you can think of at the church that day, leading worship, helping with the children in the children's church. It thrills me beyond. I mean, I could write for days behind just being in their presence when they are locked in and engaged, and they know that they're important, and they know that they're seen. That's what really blessed me, that we have a church that recognizes our young people are our future. That's not just a cliche. That is the truth. Exactly. You will turn around tomorrow and they'll be leading you.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So we have to invest in them. So that just super inspired me. So I'll be doing things like that, where I'm spending more time with my demographic, my people, the young people, and sharing with them more on a face-to-face, one-on-one expression. So if you want to book LaWanna to come speak at your church, at your conference, at your small group, at your school, tell them how they can get in touch with you. Right now, the best way is to email me at purposefulpurity@gmail.com. That's purposefulpurity@gmail.com. That's probably the best way right now, the quickest way. You'll get right in touch with me. I'll return your email immediately. And go ahead and go to my page on Facebook. Go ahead and search me by LaWanna R. Wilson and like that page. And then anything that I'm doing, pretty much I'm posting there to keep you updated on things that I'm involved in. So. And tell them, how can they get this book? Yes. Because we want you to go out and buy it for your young people at your church, for your youth group. Buy about 200 of them. Absolutely. And pass them out at your church and your singles department. Tell them how they can get the book. Absolutely. I'll come hang out with you guys. We'll do some chapters together. I would love to do that. I love facilitating that kind of thing. So if you get a large order, I'll come, I'll sign books, whatever you guys need. That's my heart, is to minister to this generation. So Amazon.com right now is where you're going to get the book. You're going to type in the word virgin with the dots in between. Otherwise, other things will show up. Right. And it won't be this book. It won't be this book. So you got to put these dots in there. So look for it that way. Search for it that way. It's in paperback and Kindle version. So if you've got your e-reader, you can get it on there as well. And also this summer, hopefully I'll be doing some book signings and getting into some of our local stores here in Nashville. So it'll be on the shelves soon. So you heard, you can pick up a copy at Amazon.com. You can go to her Facebook page, LaWanna R. Wilson, like that page, and follow her to keep up with where she's going to be. You can email her, and she can
you can get in touch with her to book her to come and speak at your church, at your school. So make sure that you go follow her and keep up with what she's doing. We're so excited to have her here on Table Talk. And I want to thank you for coming and joining me and having this Table Talk about your new book, V.I.R.G.I.N. And so I want to thank you guys for joining us. And coming up in this summer, I'll be doing some more interviews with authors, with business owners. And I also have coming up is a entrepreneurship summit for young people. It's going to be at Lipscomb University. So if you have a young person that's age 12, between 12 and 17, make sure you sign up. You can go to Yes Bills on Facebook or yesbills.com. There are scholarships available. There's limited space. And so don't wait to the last minute to sign your child up. You know, people wait till like the end of May and to sign up their children when all the slots are gone.
Yolanda sells out.
And it will sell out because it's limited space. We had all girls last year, and I had moms to come and say, my sons are mad at you. And so we have opened it up for young men this year, and so it's going to be boys and girls to attend. So they were definitely going to go fast. We got some amazing speakers that's going to join me. So I want to thank you again for joining us for Table Talk, where we're talking business strategy, family and faith, entrepreneurship, and young people. So thank LaWanna again for joining me at Table Talk. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.